So this may be a bad idea. Hey Leary, it's Tuesday, and I just kind of want to talk about Waitress. Can we talk about Waitress? Because I saw Waitress last month at Zach Theater in Austin, and I liked it a lot, you know? I didn't know anything about it going into it. I had only heard When He Sees Me, but I knew I liked that song, and that's part of why I wanted to see it. If you don't know about Waitress, it's a musical based on a movie from 2007 called Waitress. It was on Broadway in 2016, and there's a filmed version that came out in 2023. I saw it at Zach. At, what is it called? The Topher. And it was very interesting. There was seating on the stage. Like, they had the whole diner set up, and then behind the main stage, they had a bunch of seating, and the people who were sitting there got pie, which I was so jealous of. If it wasn't expensive, I totally would go again just to get that. But yeah, it was really, really cool. It's a pretty small cast, actually. You can see. Like, the main character, her two friends, Becky and Dawn, and the doctor, that's Dr. Pomatter, the abusive husband, Earl, Ogie, Joe, who owns the restaurant, Cal, who works at the restaurant, the doctor's wife / the nurse, and then the baby that only shows up at the end. And they all had a lot of ensemble reuse, which I thought that was cool. Also, I didn't realize this until I listened to the soundtrack afterwards. They weren't doing any accents. The official soundtrack is so heavily Southern accented, but in the show that we saw, they absolutely did not do that. Is it because we're in the South and they don't want to offend people? I just thought that was an interesting choice. Let's go song by song. I just want to talk about this, okay? It starts out with like a prologue song called What's Inside. That's pretty nice. Starting the themes, we got the butter, sugar, flour, whatever. Sugar, butter, flour. Sort of like, you know, Beetlejuice, I guess, is a prologue song. That's pretty similar. I really like the next song opening up. I think it does a really good job of going through, these are the characters, this is what the plot's gonna be about. Especially these two lines from Becky and Dawn. I wouldn't call this place a happy end, but I've been around the block and just came back again. Like, you can see that's how Becky's life is sort of going. And then also Dawn, I like the way most of the days look exactly the same. I think that sums up her character so well. That's what the opening song's supposed to do, and it does a good job of it, so it's a good song. The negative is really funny. It's the song that's about Jenna taking a pregnancy test, and it sets up the plot really well. This is about Jenna and her friends, and she's worried about potentially being pregnant with her abusive husband's baby. Oh yeah, I also thought it was funny that it has bad Spanish in it, just like in Beetlejuice. Se puede saber la duración de English. Duración de Okay, Dawn. What is with that? Why do both Beetlejuice and Waitress have bad Spanish? I just thought that was funny. Next is the I Want song, What Bacon Can Do. It's Jenna basically figuring out what she's gonna do through her favorite medium. I wasn't sure about it at first, but it ended up really growing on me, and I really, really like it now. I especially like the extended metaphor at the beginning. Even doubt can be delicious, and it washes off with all the dirty dishes. And when it's done, I can smile it's on someone else's plate for a while. I think that's really good. Place it on display, I'll slice and serve my worries away. I love that, and I especially love tell them all my secrets but disguise them so they dance on the tongues of the very people that they're secrets from. That's so good. Club Knocked Up. It's fun, and I like it. Pomatter Pie is an instrumental song, and it's a bit of a reprise of What Bacon Can Do, since it's the doctor eating the pie that she made and then hearing what she was singing while she was making it, which is a cool concept. I like it. But there's not much to this one, other than it sort of sounds like a Sims song or something. I don't know, there's something video gamey about it to me. Next is When He Sees Me. I love the song. So this is the only one I had already heard, but the more I listen to it, the more I just love it even more. It's so, so good. Dawn is my favorite. She's so relatable, and I just love her so much. And I didn't realize until I listened to the original cast recording that Dawn is Kamiko Glenn. It's Horse from Centaur World, which is really funny. I love that the part where it's like when he sits too close, but the parts where there's a very obvious beat is when she's pushing down on the ketchup and mustard containers to refill them. And then in the actual show, she's putting them in the wrong ones, and the other waitresses, they try to move her gently so that she's putting it in the right ones. If you used a ketchup bottle, would you notice the amount of mustard that you put in there? My favorite line is, "He could be colorblind! How untrustworthy is that?"
He could be colorblind! How untrustworthy is that?
That's so funny, especially since you have a colorblind friend who will never watch this musical that we can quote that. And that's my favorite song in the musical. It continues to be my favorite. It Only Takes a Taste. That's sort of a love song between Jenna and Dr. Pomatter. They get 3.5 love songs in this musical, and that one's my favorite one out of all of them for sure. It's just really sweet and a little bit silly, since Dr. Pomatter, he's just a little guy, and you really gotta love him. I like that song. It's good. Ooh, You Will Still Be Mine. That's the only sort of villain song that's in this musical, and that one has really grown on me as well, because it's sort of this is supposed to be a bad singer singing this kind of song, because, you know, it's the abusive husband song, and he has a guitar, which he apparently used to seduce Jenna whenever they were still dating.
I wrote your love songs, and you like that sad one.
Which is interesting to me because there is a Doubleclicks song that's about that exact same thing. It's called Working For Me, and just listen to it.
I'll probably cheat on you more than 2 times, but I'll win you back with some tortured rhymes.
I like this song, even though Earl is horrible. I think he's maybe a bit worse in the movie, or maybe it's just the musical glosses over some stuff. I don't even want to talk about it. It's really, really bad. And yeah, I think she should have killed him. A Soft Place to Land. It's like a soft, sweet trio between Jenna, Becky, and Dawn as they're baking a pie together. It sort of reminds me of Carole and Tuesday because just how the voices are layered and how it's mostly just acoustic guitar. It's a little bit like Army of Two, and a little bit like Threads, and a little bit like Message in the Wind, I guess.
A dream is a soft place to land, and when you dream that big, you're not afraid to live.
Oh yes, Never Ever Getting Rid of Me is so good. I love Ogie so much. Both Dawn and him are freaks, and they are made for each other. I wasn't sure about Ogie at first, since he's a bit of an incel, he's a bit of a stalker, he does a little workplace harassment, but he's so endearing that you can sort of ignore all the red flags, because there are green flags. I think him taking care of a stray cat is a green flag, because it sort of implies that he has some understanding of boundaries, so he gets a pass. And also, I adore this thing they added for the musical, where Dawn is a Betsy Ross Revolutionary War reenactment person, and he is a Paul Revere reenactor, but he's like an understudy, so he's only participated in 2 shows, and in one of them he apparently lost his spleen. This man is spleenless! And of course, when he mentions that he's spleenless, the first thing that my Batman brain-rotted head thought was, just like Tim Drake. They are both LARPers. They are truly, truly made for each other, and I love them so much, and this song is so funny. Bad Idea! This is the second love song between Jenna and Dr. Pomatter. It's sort of like the Say No to This from Hamilton of this musical, like, oh, we are both cheating, it's a bad idea, but isn't cheating fun? This song is, the way it contrasts with the Say No to This is that it really said cheating is fun, and it's kind of funny, I guess. Jenna is sort of justified in cheating since she has an abusive husband and she already has stated why she can't leave. She literally can't afford to. I don't know what Dr. Pomatter's deal is though. There's a point where Jenna asks, "Are you happy in your relationship?" And then she says, "Wait, don't tell me." We don't know what's going on in Dr. Pomatter and his wife's relationship, but my vibe is that he's just bored because we do meet her at the end. It seems that Dr. Pomatter at least has a lot less of a justification for his cheating. But it's a fun song. It is fun. Didn't plan it. Okay. Didn't Plan It is a very good song. I really appreciate that both Dawn and Becky have their own songs, and they're both super good. This is Becky's song, by the way. Didn't Plan It is after Jenna finds out that Becky is also cheating on her husband with Cal, and they apparently know Cal's wife, and from the musical added this tidbit that Ethel, Cal's wife, is maybe gay. Feels like they probably should divorce. I don't know. And for Becky, her husband is apparently very old and ill, and she feels like she can't leave him because she still loves him, even though I think we can assume he can't really love her back in the same way. But yeah, Becky is objectively correct. Jenna has no right to judge since Jenna is also cheating, but we can see that Jenna is projecting. She tells Becky that cheating is wrong and yells at her because she's mad at herself. Which is kind of like it's a bad thing to do, but it's understandable in her situation. But yeah, Becky is just correct, and her song is really, really good. And after that's the Bad Idea reprise, it showcases all three relationships, which is funny that they included Dawn and Ogie's relationship, since I don't think they're a bad idea at all. I think they're the healthiest couple out of all of these. I thought it was interesting that in the end, no one gets punished for their cheating. None of the four people involved face any real consequences, and for Jenna, it's actually a good thing because it enables her to leave Earl. Hamilton could never. You Matter to me is probably one of my least favorite songs. It's the third love song between Jenna and Dr. Pomatter. It's after Dr. Pomatter gives Jenna a nice gift and asks her to teach him how to make a pie. And it's sweet, but it's very generic. It is important to the plot in that it's affirming that Jenna really needed to have this affair to be able to break up with her husband. She's never had someone who cared for her since her mom died, and it's sort of about how she hopes that her baby will eventually have someone who matters to them. But it's also really, really slow, and in my opinion, a little bit boring after a few re-listens, so that's all I have to say about that one. But you know what's not slow and boring? I Love You Like a Table! Oh my god. I Love You Like a Table is the wedding song between Ogie and Dawn, and it's so sweet and it's very specific. It's so them, you know? It's spontaneous poetry. Dawn wrote a drum line as a vow. Which is the only time that we actually talk about the Revolutionary War thing explicitly in the soundtrack, which I think is funny, because the Paul Revere and Betsy Ross thing is mentioned a few times in the dialogue and shown in Bad Idea Reprise, but it's not in any of the songs. I think that's just funny that they included the drum line, which you wouldn't know what that's a reference to if you only listen to the soundtrack. Also, Ogie wears the Revolutionary War hat to his wedding. They're just such an iconic couple. And now I have two songs that are I Love You Like a Blank, I Love You Like a Table, and the Doubleclicks song I Love You Like a Burrito, which is on Dimetrodon, which Working For Me is also on. Except this came out in 2014, a year before the first showing of Waitress. Isn't that interesting? Just a coincidence, I guess. Also, in terms of wedding songs and musicals, there's this one and the wedding song in Beetlejuice, which is Creepy Old Guy, and the wedding song in Hadestown, though they don't actually get married, but it's called Wedding Song. It's more similar to the Beetlejuice one in terms of tone, but it's so much more wholesome, I guess. I like all of them, but I really, really like this one. Next is Take It From an Old Man. It's the Old Man song. Old Man has gotta have a song. It is his restaurant, so he gets a song, and it's fine. It's good. It's kind of generic, just old man giving you some advice during the wedding or after the wedding. They didn't change the old man very much for the movie. Almost all of his lines are just directly from it, and the vibes of the song are very similar. The vibes of the song work with his character. Honestly, I'm not really sure why Dear Baby is in the soundtrack. It's not a song, it's just the explanation of why she ends up not going to the pie contest, which is because they used the money that she was saving up to enter to buy the baby's crib after Earl found the money that she was hiding. It's kind of weird. And After that is She Used to Be Mine, which is the obligatory main character ballad. It's fine, it's really slow, so it's really not my favorite. And then another song I'm not sure why it's there, the Contraction Ballet, which is just breathing sounds for like a minute. But Everything Changes. I really like it. It's a nice song, that's what my bracelet says. Everything changes. I don't have much to say about it. It is kind of funny to contrast it with Hadestown, which has Nothing Changes.
Everything changes. Nothing changes.
And the whole vibes of Hadestown are very different. Since, you know, it's a time loop and nothing really does change. Versus in this, where Jonah still lives in the same place and has the same coworkers. But I guess you can give her that everything's changed after she had a child and left her husband and ended her affair. Oh, and I guess owns a restaurant now that I mentioned that. It's a sweet ending, and the ending song, the opening up finale, is such a great way to cap it all off. So that's all the songs. Next, I wanted to talk a little bit about the 2007 movie, because it's sort of interesting what they removed and what they added. Like I said, I think Earl actually is worse in the movie. The vibes are way worse in that Earl getting her drunk to coerce her into doing something she didn't really want seems way more malicious in the movie. Earl's song is definitely pretty ominous, especially at the end. But there are things about it at the beginning that sort of make him endearing. Even though he's a terrible person, I definitely think it's funny when he says things like, so many things have happened, but mostly to me.
So much is happening, and mostly to me.
So that sort of takes an edge off him. And also, I think the movie just has more scenes with him. It focuses on him a bit more. So we get to see more of him being abusive. The musical also added the part where Dr. Pomatter was on a sugar detox, which I think makes it so much funnier and maybe a little bit more sense why he would get addicted to her pies right away. Oh, and by the way, the doctor is played by Nathan Fillion, which is so funny to me since that man is a jock to me. He's Captain Hammer from Dr. Horrible Sing-Along Vlog. It's so funny to see him in this role. I also mentioned before that I think the musical really enhanced Dawn and Ogie's relationship since it gave them the Betsy Ross and Paul Revere thing that they did not have in the movie. This movie is from 2007 and it shows. All of the characters are white, and I'm just glad that they changed that casting in the musical. But yeah, I'm not sure if I would really recommend that movie. I definitely like the musical better. And last, I want to talk about the 2023 recording of the musical, which is really, really good. The sets especially are amazing. And I love that the orchestra is actually on stage as like a band that is playing live music in the diner. I think we can all agree that musicals that incorporate the orchestra or the band onto the stage are superior, right? Hadestown does this, Six does this. That other show we saw at Zach, the Go-Go's musical called Head Over Heels, and the 2023 recorded version of Waitress does too. I love the ensemble sitting at the tables and booths. That's something that was sort of missing from the Zach performance because they had such a small cast, they didn't really have an ensemble. I didn't mention this before, but they do talk about abortion exactly one time in this musical, and they very much dance around it because when Jenna says she doesn't want the baby, Dr. Pomatter says he can offer referral to someone who does abort, and then Jenna cuts him off, so he never says the word, which is a little to me. But she does have a line that's basically pro-choice. And it's funny that in this recording, people say like, woo, when she says that. Also, the movie has a pretty similar line to that, though I think instead of offering a referral, the doctor says we don't do abortions here. But I'm pretty sure Jenna still says something that's pro-choice. There's also something that when we watched that, I feel like I either missed or just wasn't there, because in the filmed version, during What Bacon Can Do, there's a flashback in the background where we get shown a scene with Jenna's mother and her father, where he is beating her, how it's a cycle of abuse, which is not super important, but I think adds a little bit more depth to the story. But if that was in the movie, I missed it. And if it was in the Zach performance, I also missed it. Though it's possible they just weren't able to include that because they had such a limited ensemble. Or I could have just totally missed it. It is just like a blink and you'll miss it kind of moment. And the last thing about the movie is that there's a real baby. Why is there a real baby? It's just a very interesting choice to include a real baby, which Jenna is singing at the end. In addition to the child that shows up at the very, very end. They did have a child at Zach. There's like 3 rotating ones, I think. That was the funniest bit about watching that movie. And you already know this, but when you watch it on YouTube, you can see the comments, and there's so many comments like, real baby? That's a real baby? Which I thought was also funny. But yeah, that's Waitress. Not my favorite, but it's still good. You know? Those are my thoughts about it. What did you think about Waitress? More importantly, what's your favorite pie? I actually had some really good pies recently. We went to Utah, and at Capitol Reef National Park, there's a pie place, and the mixed berry pie I had there was really, really good. And also in Salt Lake City, we went to a Black Bear Diner and I got a chocolate cream pie, which was amazing. I think that's maybe one of my favorite pies. The chocolate cream pies at those diners are super good. I also have a soft spot for boysenberry since the boysenberry pies at Knott's Berry Farm are really good. When I was a kid, I liked them because I thought the flavor tasted like fruit roll-ups. I also have this pie, which I made in elementary school. It's made out of clay. I don't know what grade it was in, but I think it was maybe 2nd grade or something. Yeah, I've kept it because I think it's really cute. And I also 3D printed this pie, which is mermaid marshmallow without the marshmallow from Waitress. Yeah, it's got 4 little pieces of pie and the tin. And I actually posted that one on Thingiverse, so if anyone wants to print it, it's up there. If you're in Austin, you should totally see the Zach show if you're able to. It's going until July 27th. And apparently, if you sit on the stage, you get pie during intermission. I wish I had known that. Remember that bad times are just times that are bad. Thanks for watching, and I'm excited for Leary's video. See ya!